Well, so I'm so happy that you are here to listen to my story about Vipassana. It's a story, really. And every time I start to speak, I realize how much of a story I'm telling, because this is the only thing that we have. We are telling stories. Yesterday, Linda was telling us stories about her work with horses, and today I'm going to tell you the story, but something that happened 1 month ago. So it's obviously a story. It's what I remember and the way my mind has processed the story. And the more I'm into this understanding the 3 Ps, the non-duality, the more I see how much our beliefs and the stories are what create our reality, our experience of reality. And since I'm a young boy, I think I've always been looking for stories and trying to make sense of what I was experiencing through stories. And my childhood was not, I was not unhappy, but it was complicated. I was a shy boy. Hey, Karina. And yeah, I always felt like I had to, my mind wanted closure, wanted to make sense of what I was experiencing. So everything I'm going to share today is just that, trying to make sense and looking for some new experiences to try to cope with what I am experiencing, and sometimes the good things and sometimes the bad things. And so it will be about Vipassana and the 3 P and the connection that I make between them. There are plenty of differences. It's a completely different thing, but it's all about love. Someone wrote me an email, a beautiful email this afternoon, telling me that it's all about love, and as far as love is concerned, I know I'm home. So I'm just going to say a little bit about the 3 Ps. I know most of you, they know perfectly what the 3 Ps are, but because some don't, and maybe I will put that webinar on my podcast, I will explain a little bit what the 3 Ps are. And the 3 Ps, the origin of the 3 Ps is a simple, ordinary guy called Sydney Banks, who was a welder, a Scottish welder working in Canada. And he had an enlightening experience back in the 70s. And he realized something all of a sudden that completely changed his life. And from this time on, he just went on sharing his discoveries around the building blocks of human psychology as he saw them. And if I can sum that up, the building blocks are universal mind, universal consciousness, and universal thoughts. And it's also known as the inside-out understanding. And what it means is just that our experience is not the exterior stuff that happened in our life. That's not what creates our experience. Those things are neutral. What creates our experience is what we think of what happens outside. And that realization is very, very deep, and it links to spiritual traditions centuries ago, and especially one that I like very much as well, which is non-duality, the concept of non-duality, which means it's from a Sanskrit or a Pali word, I don't remember exactly, called Advaita Vedanta. Advaita meaning non-dual, not two. It means that the universe, everything we experience, is just oneness. It's just one thing. The universe is infinite, and this is what we are. We are that. So if this is what we are, the 3 Ps say, we are not broken. We cannot be broken. Our deepest nature is peace, love, and wisdom. It's just that it's veiled because of that universal thoughts that we have, which is a great creative power. But this great creative power, we can turn it against ourselves and make ourselves miserable because of that. But when we see that our experience is just our thoughts, it's not as simple as that. Of course, it goes far deeper, but let's stick to that idea of just our thoughts are creating our reality. If we can see that, if it permeates inside at the level of the heart, it's a paradigm shift. It will change the way we experience life. I came across the principles just a few years ago. I've already told the story of me having a psychedelic experience back in 2018. I had two. The first one was on mushroom, and the second was on LSD. And the dose of LSD was enough for me to have a sort of what they call a godlike experience. I mean, my ego just disappeared completely during the experience. So within those two experiences, I realized that there was more to my daily consciousness. So after the experiences, I was really looking at, what kind of intellectual food I can find to sort of support what I had experienced. And that's when I discovered the principles. And I not only discovered the principles, but I discovered a community of people sharing the principles. And what struck me really, that those people were shining. And they were shining with the sharing of something that was very deep, that related really very much to my own intuitions. And I thought, I am home. This is the place I was looking for so long as a seeker. I got lost so many times in my search, but it really felt like it was home. And the question that I used to ask myself about why am I me turned into who am I? And the who am I became really the major goal of my search from that point on. So I read many books, I participated in many webinars, and I attended many courses because, and it was like I couldn't get enough. I always wanted more. I had some kind of craving because it looked so, wow, incredible. And there was only one thing that was strange, and that didn't seem to fit. It was that everything in my life really started to thrive again. My relationship with my family, my relationship with my kids, and in my job, everything seemed to really something change, and I was amazed by that. But something changed in another way. It was my relationship, my intimate relationship, where I struggled and more. And the strange thing is that my wife was having the same experience as I had. We were together in this search, in this quest. And it seemed like at the very moment we were finding home, we were like shifting away from each other. And the way that it manifested in my life was at the level of the body. There was something within the body that was not aligned with my new story, my new beliefs, my vision of what the truth, and the truth of who I really was. And so I kept on searching, and my wife did twice a Vipassana retreat. And at some point, again, because she was a trailblazer and I was following and I was having her back, and she was always searching for more because she had an history of depression and was really looking. And people who are searching, they become your teachers, your masters. And she was a little bit of my Zen master. And I decided to do the Vipassana retreat, because what she told me about that Vipassana thing was really interesting and related to the body. So I applied. I was drawn by sort because so many people want to go there. They don't have enough room. So even if they do, I guess 2 retreats a month, 2 10-day retreats a month. It's in the middle of France. So now I'm gonna just give you a short idea of what Vipassana is. Gonna check if I'm not forgetting anything. The first thing, Vipassana the center that exists in France is one of the 240 centers all around the world that exist. They have been created by one man, one Indian businessman that got the technique of Vipassana from his own master. He lived in Burma. His name is Satya Narayan Goenka. He was a very successful businessman, but he was miserable in his life. He had terrible headaches. To him, the fact that he was successful made no sense, because he was not happy. And he got that opportunity to go to a retreat. And he tells the story that the second day he was about to leave, and just somebody said, you should stay another day. Maybe there's something for you there. And he stayed, and that changed his life. And he decided that he wanted to change the life of everybody on earth because it was so beautiful. So again, it was back in the 60s, 70s. And he started to spread centers in India first, and then around the world. The salient characteristic of those centers, it's absolutely free. You don't have to pay for anything. You are welcome in a nice, beautiful room or dormitory, but because I am 62, I had the privilege of a single room. So I had my room, I had my shower. It's very comfortable. It's simple, but very comfortable. And every day you are fed, and you are very well fed. It's delicious. It's vegan, but it is vegan, and it's absolutely wonderful, really. And everybody who is around, it's only volunteers. And you don't have to pay for anything in the end. You want to pay if you can afford it, because you want other people to have the chance to do it. And of course, I gave the most I could give, because it was incredible. So first of all, that was the thing that struck me. It's free. Everybody is a volunteer, and you are welcome, they take care of you. They take the greatest care of you they can. And everything is created, set up to help you experience to have the best experience possible. And it's like a prison. You are in prison. They take everything they don't take. You give them voluntarily, of course, but you don't have no phone. You don't have no computer. You don't have no book. You cannot write anything down. Nothing. You have, of course, no TV, no radio, no contact with the exterior world, nothing. And you're not allowed to talk to each other, and you're not allowed to have eye contact with each other. Again, when I say not allowed, it's just a recommendation. They say, if you want to have the best experience, do that. So I was with 60 men, and there were 60 women in in the other side of the camp, and we were looking at our feet for 10 days. And even when we were, having lunch, we were in front of each other and we were like doing that. For some, that was terrible. For me, it was not difficult because of my history, personal history. But I have shared in my podcast that it really started when the silence started and I realized the noise in my head and the mind that was, oh, great, the cats are gone. So my mind started to really shout at me thoughts and thoughts and thoughts and thoughts. And because of my personal situation, of course, it really became like an ordeal quickly. And the thing that you are there to learn is just a technique. And Goenka, every evening, we listen to the voice of Goenka. He died back in 2014, I guess. But all you hear there are recordings of Goenka. And every evening, you have 1 hour of Goenka talking about the technique and telling us, giving us some food for the intellect. Because otherwise, you're just into your thoughts and that's all you experience. And he's telling us about why the technique, why 10 days, why 10 hours of meditation, and why every day there's a new thing that is going to be included that we will have to do. The 3 first days, it's only concentration on the air that's going in and out of your nostrils. That's all. I couldn't do it, except for 5 to 6 seconds, not more. And then, and at some point, I was in my room and I said to myself, what am I doing here? And my brain was telling me, you're crazy. This is absolutely not interesting. I have so many stories that I can tell you, and you could ponder, and you could. So please don't shut me down. Please let me speak. And he was not asking, please, he was just doing it. So the first 3 days was that. And then the 4th days, we learned the technique of Vipassana. And what is the technique of Vipassana? It's very simple. It's just a body scan, a mental body scan. You close your eyes and you move your attention from here, from your breath, your nostrils, you move it to the top of your head. And then systematically, patiently, you try to scan the sensation over your body. Because the theory behind that is that what we are, what the mind matter phenomena we are, is just subatomic particles vibrating. So because we are made of this, it is possible to realize that every single inch of our skin creates a sensation, even if we are not aware of it. So we are going to scan the body in order to find out where we can feel a sensation. And when we cannot feel a sensation, we will concentrate and focus even more to try to find, maybe there's something of transpiration, maybe there's some movement of the air, maybe there's just my clothes on the skin. I can't feel it. Except that, of course, in between, you have the mind coming back and telling you all the stories that he wants to tell. So when I realized that that was it, and as I said in my podcast, I was really disappointed because I said, oh, this is already what I'm doing with my clients. For example, at the beginning of a conversation, I'm always starting with, let's do a body scan. So we close our eyes and we'll see if we have tension somewhere, and things like that. So I was disappointed and I was really thinking of, I'm going to quit. But the next day, You have those instructions, start again, start again. And sometimes it's really you feel some kind of a despair, and I'm going to start again, and I'm going to be in my head again for 1 hour, and I'm going to have my back aching, but I have to do it. I want to go. I want to do it until the end. So, and I was listening to the evening discourses, and it matched exactly what the 3 Ps are sharing. You know, that it was the same stuff. It was all about the fact that our experience is only spiritual, and that if we can find a way to tame, it's not the proper word, but to tame our mind, that ferocious animal, wild animal that is the mind, if we can find a way to focus our mind towards what is happening inside and in and over the skin, we will find the truth, and we will get rid of suffering. So I was like a believer, thinking, oh, if it's true, I have to go there. I have to go on. So that was the thing really that drove me to go on and on and on through the ordeal. And on the very last day, Goenka was changing the instructions from day to day, saying that, for example, at the beginning, you have to look at the sensations over your skin, but then you can do it with bigger portions, and then you can do it symmetrically with your 2 arms and then your 2 legs, and maybe you can do it symmetrically with the front of your trunk and the back. So I was trying to do that. And at some point, Goenka was mentioning something that's called the free flow. And it looked like the golden nugget, the holy grail. So I was desperately looking for that free flow sensation, and I got it. At some point, maybe because this day I was more focused for some reason, I don't know, I felt, and it was incredible, and it's almost impossible to describe with words, I felt my whole body starting to vibrate everywhere. I was a vibration. I was exactly what Goenka had described as subatomic particle vibrating. And I could feel my body vibrating, and immediately I jumped to this sensation, craving for the sensation. I want this sensation. Oh yes, this is the thing. This is the thing I was so much looking for. And immediately, of course, Goenka said, yeah, you think you find something. You find the most dangerous thing. This is absolutely not what you have to do. You don't have to crave for that sensation, because the gift of Vipassana is equanimity, anicca. He says that with his Indian accent, anicca, which means impermanence. What you have to do now that you have felt this free flow is realize that in your body, everywhere, all the time, there are sensations, and that those sensations are impermanent. Even a gross sensation of pain is impermanent. It goes like this. A beautiful sensation of pleasure, that's the same. And every sensation is impermanent. So what you have to find, and the gem that you have to find now, is not that body vibrating. It is staying equanimous, with your mind balanced, not developing aversion for the pain, nor developing craving for the pleasure. If you can do that, that's home. That's where the gem is. That's where happiness is. That's where the end of suffering is. And that's what Gautama, that is called the Buddha, has found 2,500 years ago. And that is there now for you. And it made sense to me. It really made sense. I thought, yes, This is the thing. And this is what Sid is sharing. I mean, this idea of equanimity, what is it? Our true nature is peace, wisdom, and love. And in that place of equanimity, considering that everything that happens to me creates a sensation, and that's all, and that I don't have to label the sensation pain or the sensation pleasure. I just experience the sensation, and there I am safe, I am at peace, I'm good. So after that, I've been pondering on what Goenka is sharing about, because behind Vipassana, there is, of course, Buddhist stuff, I would say. But Goenka insists in the fact that if you don't want it, you don't take it. All you have to take back is the technique. If you don't want the Buddhist thing, the tradition thing, you don't take it. If it's not for you, take it out. But I've been listening closely, and I have found also building blocks of human psychology in what he shared. It was said in a different way. For example, consciousness is described as 6 different consciousness. We have consciousness of taste, of feel, of touch, of smell, of hearing, and I forgot one, and thought also. We have consciousness of thought, and that's neutral. And then there are 4 levels in the brain. First level is you are conscious of something happening outside or inside. If it's a thought, there is something happening. First level. Second level, perception and evaluation, recognition and evaluation. You recognize what had just happened. Is it a thought? Is it a sound? If it's a sound, is it a voice? If it's a voice, is it a voice telling you you are the most beautiful person in the world? Or is it a voice saying you suck? Then goes the sensation, third level. The sensation is created by the perception and the recognition. If the voice had just said, you're the most beautiful person in the world, oh, good sensation. If it said, you suck, oh, bad sensation. Fourth level, reaction. You react to the sensation. You react by craving, or you react by aversion. You hate that sensation of someone who said, you suck. So you react. You get angry. You get frustrated. You get mad. And if someone has said to you, you're the most beautiful person in the world, oh, you cherish that. And you feel love, and you feel, and you crave, you want more. That's it. Except that that reaction produces fruits. And the fruit is called, in Pali, in Sanskrit, samskara. And there are 3 types of fruit. There's the samskara that is like a line that you trace in water. Immediately it disappears. So immediately this reaction is like evaporating. Then you have the line in the sand. It stays for a while, but the next wave is just wiping it up. So this one is okay too. And then there's the very dangerous third samskara. It's the line carved in a rock. And that line carved into a rock goes into yourself and stays there and doesn't evaporate. And if I had just read that book by Gabor Mate, The Myth of Normal, and that other book by, I was into, it was Bessel van der Kolk. I don't know if you're familiar with that book. It's called The Body Keeps the Score. It's all about traumas. So to me, it looked like the third type of samskaras were the traumas. The thing that happened in early childhood, for example, that were, let's say, neutral circumstances, but that you have taken inside. And the story around what happened is really like a trauma. It changed your biology because it created in your head, in your mind, in your brain, a reaction of survival. And it's stuck there and it stays there. And the myth, the story around the samskaras that Goenka is telling us is that the more you practice Vipassana on a daily basis, twice a day, 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour at night, in the evening, and a 10-day course every year, the more you do it, the less you create samskaras inside of your body. And not only that, but every time you do not create a samskara, the old samskaras are evaporating. And eventually you will feel the freedom of the end of suffering. And that also is such a beautiful story. And I am a reader of Bernardo Kastrup. I don't know if you know Bernardo Kastrup, but he's my favorite philosopher, contemporary philosopher. He has written something like 10 books. He's a modern Schopenhauer, and he's also a physicist. So he knows everything about science and philosophy and the myth. And to me, the myth that Goenka was sharing with me was extremely strong. And as I said in the beginning, we are just creating the world with stories. So that beautiful story is really helping me right now to deal with the challenges I have to face with my relationship. So to me, Vipassana and the three principles are complementary. And I don't know how it's going to unfold in the next few weeks and months and years. And maybe I'll have the chance to tell you all about it. But right now, I love this beautiful myth. And I think I don't crave for it. I hope so. But it makes so much sense, and it helps me moment to moment in my experience right now. So I think I've spoken enough, and I would love to hear you. I would love to hear you if you have to share maybe an experience of silent retreat, or if you whatever it you know, the insights maybe that you got from my story, or the things you don't agree with. I don't know if I have to do something like reopening I'm not good at. No, I think if you want to talk, you just have to put your mics on. Such a beautiful group. Nathalie. Tu es là, Nathalie. Bien que tu ne sois pas fluent. Natalie is a friend, a French friend, and she told me that she was not fluent in English, and she would have a hard time maybe listening to me. If you have nothing to say, I can speak forever, you know. But I would really love to hear your reactions, and if it. Oh, Missy, do I have something to? No, great. You unmute, great.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you so much. This has just been beautiful. It reminds me, I'm reading 2 books right now, a Rupert Spira book, and I'm reading one that's called The Complete Book of Awakening, and both are Advaita Vedanta, non-dual, and everything you talked about. The thing that really stood out to me that I just loved is talking about how all we are these particles of sensory little pieces of energy flowing. Like, that's all there is. And it's just this one beautiful energy dancing. And I'm very jealous that you had that 10-day retreat. It sounds heavenly. My mind, of course, was spinning like, how does he get to do that? Like, how would I do that with 3 kids and a job? And then I realized, oh, isn't that so funny that that's, of course, what a mind is going to do. And I think that's all the more reason to go to a 10-day silent retreat. So I feel very peaceful in your presence, and I feel even more peaceful having just been able to be part of this beautiful experience. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Missy. Yeah, I was sharing in my podcast that it's not easy to find 10 days in a regular life of a regular Western citizen. We have to work. We have people who rely on us. And it's not like vacation when you still have maybe the connection possible with people around. No, you are out of the world, really. You are out of touch. I had to leave messages everywhere to say, you cannot reach me at all. And they just take the number of someone if there's something wrong that happens during the retreat. And I have given to my ex-wife the number where she could call me if something happened and that I really had to leave. But it's really out of the world experience, and that's what is so powerful also, because sometimes you feel of experiences like base jump or whatever, like incredible experiences, but that one really, to me, was the big challenge, the big thing. It's one of a kind. And I realized when I was in the middle of it, even if I was struggling really with my mind, the privilege, incredible privilege that it does exist and that it's possible to do that. And that some people are dedicated to help the other to have this experience. This really is moving. I felt like I was moved because it's so rare. There's no money there. There's no interest, just pure desire for sharing something that did you good. And I felt at the end of it that I wanted to help. I wanted to be back for another retreat, and the next time maybe I will be on service, because you can do that. You can be in the kitchen, or you can be in the garden, or you can be, wherever, clean stuff. And it makes total sense to be there, help and meditate at the same time. That's what my wife did this time, because it was the third time she was there. And that's it. That's just an incredible experience. So now I say to my friends and to people around, if you feel the call, because you must feel the call, it must make sense for you to put that at the top of your priorities at some point, and you have no idea why this happens or not. But if you reach this idea of a priority of doing such a retreat, do it. Wow. Do it, because you will meet yourself. You will meet who you really are. It's not easy at the beginning, especially. It really can make you a little bit crazy, but in the end, wow, really. And there's no drug. There's no, it's really you and your mind, what you really are. So yes, anyone among you can find the time or the opportunity to do it. I guess it's going to be very, very valuable. To me, it was as valuable as the birth of my kids and my LSD trip. These are the really. It's maybe too early to say that because it's very close in time, this retreat. But to me, these are the moments of my life. Lindsay.
my question's quite a funny one. I'm just curious, did you have the sense that everybody had this experience as you did? That doesn't even make sense. I mean, so everybody was there, obviously not being able to communicate by looking or speaking. I don't know whether that changed at any point, like at the end, or maybe not, never, you know, maybe it didn't. But I was just, you know, on a purely cellular, you know, I mean, I'm not a scientist at all, but atomic level or whatever you mentioned, did you sense the stage that other people were at in terms of them almost like fighting with their minds? And then,
yeah,
because I mean, it's sounding very cathartic, as in it sounds like you kind of came through. I'm not quite sure which day it was, but it sounds like there was a shift, and that a peacefulness. And also when you described, you know, this blissful state when I'm sorry, I can't remember how you said it. I was just
I don't remember either, you know.
But you know, where your body was tingling all over. I think that's how you
the
said
free
it.
flow, what they call the free flow.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's just a nosy question. I'm just curious to know.
Not at all.
If you had a sense that other people were going through this, you know, having a similar reaction as you did.
On the last day, at some point, you suddenly are allowed to speak with the others. It's weird, a kind of awkward moment. Some seem to have some seem to they cannot stop talking immediately, you know, like it's a relief, it's an immediate relief. For some others, like me, it was more of a quiet, and it took some time for me to be able to speak again with someone. And that's funny, because when I was really like in my mind, in my head, thinking that I was not going to make it in the middle of the retreat, I went to the courtyard and I was walking around the courtyard. And when I was walking around, I was talking to myself out loud, because I was alone. And so I was not silent. So you don't lose your ability to speak at all. But in the end, so we are allowed to speak, and we are allowed to share, of course. And it's very, very interesting, because of course, during the retreat, you have made yourself stories about the sound of the voice of that guy, or what kind of job was that guy doing, or what kind of personality is that guy. And all of a sudden they start to speak, and you realize, no, nothing is matching what I expected. So that's a beautiful thing. And the other thing, of course, is that there's a mix between old students, we would say, I mean, students that already did that. 30 of us were students that already did that, and new student, and I was part of the new student, and there's 30 of new student. All of them, all of the ones I have been talking to, they all had the experience of free flow. Some had even them from the beginning, because they knew about the technique already, and they could find that place of quiet mind, of focusing easier, I mean, in an easier way than for me. But almost, I mean, nobody said they didn't reach that thing. And we were all there. Some are scientists, some are doctors, some are, you know, there was one dermatologist. And we shared about the experience. And some were like, I wonder what science would say about this, because it's really strange, that sensation that we feel. It must be connected to some part of brain, etc. Yes, maybe. But the thing is that we seem to all have had this experience, and it's an amazing experience, really. And it's, how can you explain that? I just think that it says the truth about what we are. And that's the reason why we experience it. And Gautama didn't have to wait for science, today's science, to know about the nature of his own mind and mind-matter phenomena. I've always been puzzled about this idea that we know more than the people that came before us, you know. It doesn't feel right to me. I think they knew. I mean, we have science, but science is just it's just a way of describing nature. It's not understanding nature. It's describing phenomena, and we see that, yeah, that works that way, but it doesn't say anything. It's just like when I am in a laboratory, I am a scientist, and I put things on your head so that I can see how your neurons are flashing. You have inside of you an experience of, I don't know, bliss, and I will see the neurons flashing, but I will not see your experience at all. I will just see that. Then afterwards you will tell me that was a bliss. But seeing the flashing, maybe I will look at another brain and it will flash a little bit like this way, and the guy will report that it was terrible. So I think that our true nature is accessible from the beginning. I mean, it's just and that technique gave me a little bit of that feeling that yes, if you can focus your mind, if you learn by practice how to focus your mind and dive deep inside of this thing, you may learn a lot of stuff. And I learned things. I don't know what to do with them. All I can say is that I feel better. And it gives me hope, and it gives me grounding. I mean, it increases, it improves my grounding. And so of course I want to share.
Thank you.
Oh, Danielle.
I'm sorry, I was having technical difficulties there. Can you guys hear me, or is it too loud because I'm outside?
Yes, we can hear you. We love you to be in the car.
Well, I'm not in the car. I'm actually walking. I'm walking towards
you're
my
walking.
house.
All right.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Liv. This was very insightful. This was just beautiful. So one thing that I'm noticing is that I wasn't aware that silence is like a whole language. And I would have never realized that. So I've thought about in my life the times where I had to be in silence for long periods of time, or even, you know, when you're with somebody and you're spending time with them and you guys don't even have to talk, you're just sitting in silence and it's like you're communicating, but no one's saying anything. I've always wondered about that. And with what you're describing that you experienced there, yeah, that just sounds like a whole new language, a whole different world. And I love it. I definitely want to explore that more. I'm like Missy, same thing. I'm like, oh my gosh, 10 days and, you know, no phone. What if there's an emergency? What if it's this? What if it's that? But so you're right. The mind and the ego instantly goes to that. But and it's even funny because I've seen some of Rumi's quotes, and Rumi made some beautiful quotes about silence and how there's a vast fullness, and when he's silent, when you're silent, there's thunder inside of you. You know, some of our greatest insights happen when we're silent.
Yeah.
You know, so So yeah, thank you. This was great today. So
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate it.
Well, the one thing that I realized also when I was in silence, that it was maybe the first time in my life for decades, maybe even forever, that there was no music in my life. And music is really part of my life. I'm listening to music all the time. When I work, I'm listening to music. Not when I meditate, because I was taught that I should not get distracted by music. So I don't put music when I meditate at home now. But it was part of the shock at the beginning that, oh my God, there's no music. And all the music that was left was the music in my head, but there was no room for the music in my head because of my thoughts. And yeah, the experience of silence appears to be really rare in our lives. And you're right, this is something that has to be experienced, really. It's a challenging but very beautiful place in the long run, I guess. And now I have a completely different approach of silence, because otherwise I would have been meditating with music like I used to in the past when I started to try meditation and realized that it didn't do very much for me. You know, I was on an app, it was guided meditation. I was trying to close my eyes and do what was said, but I was in my mind and I thought, is it meditation? No, meditation is not that. Meditation is to have two levels of consciousness at the same time and realizing that you can back up in a situation. That's meditation. I'm very proud that I found that, except that no, meditation is something else. Karina.
Hello. Thank you so much for
thank you to be there.
Experience. It's
to support me.
Amazing experience. And just going off what Danielle just said, silence being different language, I love that. But I also got like, well, what if silence isn't silence, nothing, like, when we're quiet and we don't hear anything, but also a different type of silence where it's that equanimity where we're just so with what is that we haven't got the noise in the mind, but there's just silence, still noise, there could still be music, but there's that inner piece of silence. I don't know, there's something there that that's just sort of formed, that I'll reflect on further, but I thought that was cool. But I wanted to just ask you a bit more about equanimity, because when we spoke earlier about your experience, I'd kind of sort of thought, oh yeah, equanimity is more like neutral, because I'm not craving a good feeling, and I'm not running away from an uncomfortable one. But now, from when I heard you speak to it a bit earlier, it's almost like, no, it's not like a no feeling state. It's just our true nature. It's just the mind that's rested, that's just naturally, without trying, peaceful, maybe even joyful, maybe not, but it just, it's that effortlessness feeling that because you were saying how it sort of marries with the three principles, and I think it's really helped me to see it more deeply, because Sid talks about look for a good feeling, but it's very easy, I think, and dangerous, and I certainly did think, oh yeah, it's a good feeling, like it's almost like the craving a good feeling side of what you were describing, but it's not that. It's that deeper true nature sort of feeling that just naturally comes when we stop trying, when we let go.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd love to hear more given that you've experienced it so deeply on that too.
It's absolutely that. And that's a big mistake to think. I mean, it's a mistake. It's just a misunderstanding or a bit of ignorance when you think of equanimity as neutral. It's not neutral. It's exactly as you said. It's not true, no, neutral. It's a higher kind of state. You're not going to crave for equanimity because this is what you But you create, you are focused on being equanimous. And it puts you in a place of, it's not a place of bliss. It's not a place of joy. It's not a place that you can label.
Yeah, that's it.
It's the formless, you know, like Sid is speaking about sometimes. It's you're in the formless. You have no words to describe this. This is a state of being. So to me, this is the closest to being, really. And it's just a glimpse that I got, you know, it was not like, oh, yes, now I can do that for 1 hour a day. No. It was just a glimpse. But maybe that's all we need. It's just that glimpse that helps us and supports us in a daily life when we are challenged by situations. We have this gem in our pocket of, yeah, we know who we really are. We know how to get back into being. And yes, exactly. And what you said about silence makes sense also. I realize that now because I'm home. I'm at my mother's place in Rouen, and there's a lot of noise outside. You can hear the cars. You can hear the hum of the city. You can hear sometimes. Yesterday there was a storm, so I was meditating in the middle of the storm. But I could find that sort of silence I think you are mentioning. It's just that I don't put music on purpose when I'm meditating. If music is around, I will have that music in my experience of silence, but it will still be silence. Because if I put some music, I tend to crave for music and listen to music and listen to music after.
And it's a distraction too, isn't it, of the mind?
It's a distraction, yeah. That's the reason why I put music. I love music because it's a beautiful distraction, and because when I'm working or I'm struggling with my work, pull back into music and gets better, and then I can go back. Yeah. Thank you, Karina. Anyone? Oh, we've reached the 1 hour mark. Kaylee? Have you anything?
Hi.
I would love you.
Well, I just like listening to you. I don't know. You have a comforting, almost like a storyteller voice, I feel. And it's kind of fun to just like sort of weave into your experience of life, but also of the Vipassana retreat. Although it didn't make it so alluring that I would want to go to a Vipassana retreat. Because I know my limits. And that would probably push me into a place that wouldn't be healthy. But I really respect people that can get a lot out of that. And yeah, I feel like on a daily basis, I'm always sort of, life is Vipassana. How would I say this? Vipassana me. I was trying to create a word there that I couldn't, but I feel like, but it's doing it in a way that I can handle, you know. I feel like it's more and more showing me the aversion, attraction, or I don't know what the words you used for that.
Aversion and craving, yes.
Right. It's interesting how it can kind of do it in a slower, more casual pace, but it's still basically having you really, really look at that and not be able to get away from that at a certain point. So anyways, yeah, but thank you for today. It was good.
Thank you so much. Yes, I'm with you. I think this is what I said. You must feel a call, and you must feel that you are able to do that, and you don't have to force you to do that, because as Goenka shares, he says it's a surgical operation on the brain, you know, and that's true. There's really something of this, you know, and in the beginning, the surgical thing happens without any I mean, you don't get they don't put you asleep to do that. You know, it's you're alive, and they open your skull, really. I mean, it's you doing it. Everything it's you doing it. But yeah, that's challenging. So you must be sure that you can and you want to do it. Yeah. Thank you so much, Isabel.
Oh, it was great to hear your experience of 10 days. A long time ago, I've done 3 days, and it's not like it's different. 3 days. What I found for me, it wasn't a silent retreat, but I used to go to New Mexico up in the mountains, and it wasn't a silent retreat. It was actually meditation. And I find that like experience like very unique. Like you're with like, you know, maybe like 1,500 people from all over the world, and there's 3 days of like full meditation and like about 7 or 10 days. And some years I always tried to bring my son with me, and I found like it just helped me also as a mother to detach, like, you know, like, because he was like, you know, you learn to, like, the first year all of a sudden, like, you know, he did, like, I couldn't find him at supper time, and like it was starting to get dark, so I started to cry and like panic, and I'm like, I don't know where he is. He could be lost in the forest. And like I was like totally distraught, and people like just came up to me, we're gonna find him, he's somewhere around here. We will find him. And then they found him, and then, you know, the next year, and you know, we went for about 6 or 7 years, and then like 1 year he said, Mom, I don't want my tent, I want my separate tent. And then, you know, I want my tent to be far away from your tent. And I said, well, as long as I know where your tent is, I don't need to know what you're doing. So sometimes, you know, we stayed up all night, like with other people, like, you know, doing, like being free. So it's like, it just, you get to experience life in a totally like different way.
Yeah.
Just like your silent retreat. Like, it's just like, and no phones. Like when I had to tell, like, I just could relate to that. Because I had to tell my mom, you will not be able to reach me. What do you mean I won't be able to reach you? You got to phone me. I gotta make sure you're there. I said, Mom, we're gonna be up in the mountains. There's no reception unless it's emergency. You know, like I will call you, but you won't be able to reach me. Like it was really like distraughting for some people, like in my family. So it's like just interesting to observe all of that, and I really enjoyed like hearing. I guess the question that I have is like, how do they share with you how to come back to normal life, real life, right? You know what I mean? Like, because now you've been in silence and now you're going back.
Yes.
Like, how do you approach that? Because I know that's something, even when we were in New Mexico, that they would kind of talk about, like, how do you go back? Like, how do you integrate back into, you know?
Well, thank you, Isabel. The coming back, yeah, they do it very gently, because the retreat is ending on Sunday morning, but the moment when you can start to speak is Saturday in the middle of the day, something like end of the morning, something like that. So you have time to reaccommodate, you know, with speaking, with talking to people, and you're still there, and you still have your room, and you still have the meditation hall. And so it creates a sort of soft corridor, let's say, towards the real life. The day you take your car and go back to Paris, and yeah, it's a little bit hard. You coming back, and in my head there was this idea that I would not be able to meditate for 1 hour in the evening and 1 hour in the morning, and wanting to do it, and at the same time thinking, but how am I going to do that? And as I shared with some people, I realized, you know, I have a tracker on my finger. It's a sleep tracker. It's just it's a ring, but it has some some device on it, and when I sleep, it tells me if my sleep was good, if my heartbeat were okay, and so on. And I realized that this tracker, when I'm meditating, it thinks I am asleep. So it shows on the app that I am asleep. And it's it depends on what kind of on what type of meditation I'm in, because sometimes my mind is so busy that I guess my heartbeat must be fast, and it looks like I'm awake. But some meditation, I realize, I look at the app and it says that I've been sleeping. So I realized that I could sleep less and find the time that I needed by sleeping less, instead of trying desperately to find time because I'm so busy, I have so much work, etc., etc. I will never find an hour or two to do it. So when I realized that, I guess it was the second day or the third day after I came back, I felt some reassurance. I felt like, oh, great, I will be able to go on. And now every time every moment of my day when I think that I'm going to have this space to meditate before I go to sleep, or when I wake up before I go to work, it feels good. It feels like, like some kind of a beautiful shelter where I can just go and calm down and be ready for the day, or be ready for the night, and quiet the struggles of the day. And yeah, that I'm sorry, I have my dog that is scratching the door. I will open the door. Here she comes. My Zen master. Please. Welcome, Trout. Because her name is Truite, if you never met her with her. And Truite, can you say hello? So yeah, the return to life is, well, and of course, because of the circumstances where I am right now, I was thinking, oh, I will have to deal again with this situation, and it was, yeah, it was a little bit challenging, but again, during the retreat, I had some really tough moments. So it's not like I was living paradise, I was just out of a very, very intense experience. I was happy that this intensity would slow down. And yeah, and happy that I could keep on practicing after. Yeah.
Thank you, merci.
Merci à toi. Well, does anybody want to say something? Or should we just leave it there for today? I was so happy to have you listening to my stories. And I so enjoy to be in this group with, the Rewilders. I always say that, but to me, it's invaluable. Every time I have a conversation with any of you, we go directly to the point of who we deeply are. I love that. And thank you so much for being there. And see you soon. See you in the groups, see you on the weekends. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. It was beautiful. Bye.